Coming up today, a mother who has already been through so much is sharing her incredible journey along the way. A premature birth, a life-threatening infection followed by amputations to save her life. Now, up next, a challenge is a kidney transplant. Good morning. I'm Jessica Lovell and welcome to the Morning Medical Update. Brie Bauer is a fighter who has shared her medical journey with us before. She now has a new battle. She needs a kidney transplant. She has taken to social media to help spread awareness about her need for a kidney. Her story is quite complicated. Here is where it began. The Bauers were the typical family.
Show them the picture, Brooks.
Raising 2 little boys. And recently, adding a third.
Yeah, just regular suburban life, you know, like hang out with the kids, go to the pool, play outside, go to the playground. And this little piggy ate all of his dinner and went to sleep and brushed his teeth, just like you.
But that changed February 17th, 2024, when Brie asked her mom to take her to the hospital.
That day, my mom drove me just because I wasn't feeling very good. And I figured since I'm pregnant, probably should go check to see if I have the flu or whatnot.
Doctors would discover something way more sinister making her sick, a raging infection, streptococcal toxic shock syndrome brought on by strep A, and later a blood clotting condition called DIC, which causes abnormal blood clotting and organ damage. But first, doctors needed to deliver baby Beau at just 27 weeks.
And they were like, we just need to do an emergency C-section right now, we got to get him out. So the last thing I remember is going to the OR and having that mask placed over my nose and face, and then, you know, taking deep breaths and thinking, gosh, when am I going to fall asleep? And then suddenly fall asleep. But that's the last thing I remember until 10 days later.
10 days later, when Brie awoke to the news that Beau was doing well in the NICU. Brie's prognosis, however, was dire. Doctors said she was failing fast, and at one point, they gave her just a 10% chance of survival. Eventually, she was transferred to the University of Kansas Health System.
And they found that she had necrotizing fasciitis in her stomach from the previous surgery, and didn't know if she would live through that or how bad that infection was. Got through that, and then weeks later, amputation started.
First, it was a partial amputation, then on multiple limbs, then a final blow.
They had told us that she was most likely going to have all 4 limbs amputated.
Now, this mom of 3 was facing a new reality as a quadruple amputee. But for those who know Brie,
what other choice is there? You know, that's kind of my mindset is, okay, let's do what we need to do and figure out what we can do to improve my, you know, independence, improve things at home, you know, make things kind of go back to the way they were, but knowing that it's not all going to be the same.
Brie got to work in rehab.
There you go.
Facing this unimaginable challenge head on. She even took to social media to share her story.
What's your first meal going to be back home? Fried chicken.
And inspire people around the world. And she did.
There's a lot of, you know, you're my hero, you're a warrior, and I don't feel that way at all. Hopefully in the future when I gain mobility and be more independent, I can look back at this and say, yeah, maybe I was a warrior, but right now I don't feel like that because it's been really hard. And again, without the support I wouldn't get through this at all.
Support also came the old-fashioned way from neighbors and friends.
Welcome home, Brie! Yay, Brie!
And at just the right time, back home, where the true work begins.
Figuring out a system here where we don't need extra support. Like, how can we do this just us two? And we'll get there. I'm just looking forward to things that could be possible in the future.
A future that began 12 years ago.
He's the rock now. He's our rock. I don't think we've loved each other any more than we have.
1, 2, 3.
a future with one goal in mind.
And I do recall him kind of telling me, I just want my boys to have their mom. And I do too.
The toughest part, for now,
not being able to attend to the baby when I hear him crying. I know I have support helping him out, but that should be me. When I have like my down days, which I do a lot, like I start reading the doctor's notes from surgery, and then I'm like, oh my God, like I could have died easily. And so you start appreciating things a little bit more, but also work on yourself, to get better.
We want to welcome to our studio Samantha Brenner. She is a nurse and transplant coordinator here at the health system. Alongside me is Dr. Jeff Klein, director of our Living Donor Program, also a nephrologist. How are you both doing?
Good.
Good.
Good to see you both. Also, we're so glad to have us this morning. We have Brie joining us live from her home. How are you feeling today?
I'm feeling pretty good.
Well, it's so great to have you with us. I want to just start with you and telling us a little bit about the dialysis that you have been on. Tell us how many days a week you've been doing that, Brie.
We will do dialysis 4 times a week, and it takes about 2.5 hours to do the treatment, but the before and after also take time, getting it ready and then ending it. So I'd say, 4 or 5 hours tops, that it takes 4 times a week.
And when we first met you and we were out at your home, I believe you had turned one of the rooms in your home into a dialysis room. Mm-hmm. Is that still the case?
Yes, we were very lucky, so we didn't have to, transfer back and forth to the dialysis clinic. We were lucky enough that we could do it at home, and my husband would do the treatments. I mean, it's crazy. He was trained very well, but he kind of became a dialysis nurse.
Yeah, he became an expert for you, and this has been quite a process, mm-hmm. Quite grueling, I know. Then you became kind of this expert in looking for a kidney donor. How long have you been doing that?
Initially, when I first was discharged from that long extended stay, I was denied being on the transplant list. I think the decision was I had to get stronger. It wasn't very clear. I should have probably asked more questions, but at that time I just wasn't really sure how the process went. So I had to wait a year, and then I put my request in again, and they accepted that. So that was, I would say, oh my gosh, I'm not even sure when we started this. It was probably like 4 months ago. But social media people have been wonderful. I hear that a lot of people did go through the process and everything, and all that support is amazing.
Brie, and you've had some setbacks along the way too, right?
With the dialysis?
Just this whole process, yeah, through the dialysis, looking for a kidney, it's been really difficult over these last few months, right?
I mean, of course, you just wait, and as the patient, I don't believe we are given too much information about what's going on the inside, like what kind of Samantha knows, and I understand that, but yeah, we're kind of left in the dark for a little bit until they start finding matches. And we also decided to go through the paired exchange program, where if I have a kidney I can give to someone else, and a family member or loved one for that person could give me their kidney, we kind of swap. Let me backtrack. I'm not going to give my kidney. Someone on my team, my family or friends, they would donate theirs, and we would swap. But another difficulty actually came up yesterday. I have a graft in my arm, and it all of a sudden wasn't working, which means there's probably a blood clot in it. And so today I'll have to go get that blood clot out.
So Brie, when we asked you to come back on the show, the whole idea of having you come on was to raise awareness so that you could talk about your need for a kidney. And this morning, so we have these scripts and these questions that we were going to ask you to talk about that so we could raise awareness. And I'm happy to say I have to kind of literally rip these scripts up because you have some news to share this morning. And I'm going to let you do the honors.
I do. Well, very recently I found out that I do have a match, a perfect match. So we'll be doing the kidney transplant very soon.
And I don't know if I have anything better to say than that here this morning, but I'm going to bring in your team to kind of help celebrate this morning. And Samantha, this is kind of like breaking news as we call it, right?
Yes, this week. Yeah.
And how does that make you feel?
I am so excited that, we can move forward with this. I know she has a lot going on, and now she can get on with her life.
Dr. Clyde, how exciting is it for you just on a physician perspective to be able to share this news with your patients?
Well, Brie has quite the story. This one, I think her care touched every specialty in our hospital. Mm-hmm. And so sometimes we come in later as the dialysis has been required for some time and someone's not able to come off dialysis, then transplantation becomes the pathway to live a better life, higher quality life, a longer life, and that process of finding a donor can be really difficult.
Can you explain the root cause of her kidney failure?
Well, Brie had really bad sepsis. She was in shock around pregnancy. Pregnant women can get really, really sick with a strep infection like she had. And when you get really low blood flow and you're in shock, then other organs can fail, like the kidneys. And that's, in all likelihood, what happened in her case, where the kidneys just didn't recover even after her body recovered from the shock and infection.
Samantha, explain your big role in Brie's case. What is challenging about finding a donor?
I think usually the most challenging thing is finding someone that's healthy enough to live their life with one kidney. So that's kind of the beginning of everything. In addition, in Brie's case, she was a harder to match person. So the person had to be healthy, and then also they had to be a match to her, which was difficult.
Brie, you have been so very public about your story and your need to find a kidney. Tell us about the response that you have gotten so far from family and friends. I know your team had just shared that, what was it, about 20 people have come forward or more?
At least.
At least.
Yeah.
What has that experience been like for you?
Did you say 20 people?
At least. I could count, but it's got to be at least 20, if not more.
Well, that's, just hearing that is incredible. I know I don't have that many family members and friends, and so that means, social media, it did help tremendously. It is such a hard request, and when I heard about my match, which was actually on my birthday, very fun news. The first feeling I really had was guilt. I feel so guilty. I feel like, I'm totally changing this person's life in order to help me out, and they want to do it, no questions asked. Like, they feel like it's not even a question. They just are going to do it. But with that fear of not finding anyone, like Samantha said, of course, I have something rare, and the chances of finding someone was very small. I just feel that. My father, he did pass before I got sick, but I feel like he really watches down on us and kind of helped out with this in a way. And I finally felt the feeling of hope again. which I haven't had in a very long time.
Yeah, Samantha, how do you help patients balance the hope, the guilt that she shared, and the joy of finding a donor for patients?
These people that donate their kidney, they are 100% sure. Like, they've decided this is what they're doing, and they're doing it, and you can't stop them, if they're healthy enough to do it. Sometimes people have a hard time asking, which I think it's great that Brie did, and so many people could relate to her story. Women that had kids were like, that could have been me. I would hope someone would do the same thing for me. So, you just have to let people know, and there's people that are willing to help, even that don't know her.
Brie, we want to share some of those positive moments that you've been sharing around on social media. You've inspired so many people around the world. How do you stay so positive? What's this Apple story, by the way?
I had my prosthetic resized, and it took a while to get back, and I finally got it back, and I'm just sitting waiting in the car, and I wanted to eat this apple so bad, but I knew I hadn't practiced with the prosthetic in a long time. So I figured I'd videotape me seeing how it goes, and of course I drop it a few times, and then in the end I drop it on the floor. But that's a story about that. I actually forgot the original question.
No, I said, how are you inspiring people? And I think you're showing us just with try and try again. And then, you shared a lot of footage with us of your time in rehab. Here you are just doing simple things like stacking blocks. What was the takeaway from rehab for you?
Oh my gosh. Ability KC has been so great for me. This video, that was like magic. I don't know how that happened, but we were able to get it so tall. But that's kind of the things that we do, try to practice with dexterity with the prosthetic. And then we kind of transfer it into real life, which that's the hardest part is finding how can I function with this prosthetic appropriately and safely, like in the kitchen. And Ability KC is helping me get to that. Also, they're helping me maintain my strength. There is a lot of work with my core that I have to do. That's really the main way I get around. And with upcoming surgeries, we'll be faced with a little bit of difficulty with, cutting into my abdomen. But they're there waiting for me whenever I'm ready to go see them again. But they've been just incredible. And with the overall feeling of, happiness, there's happiness and then there's bad days, of course, but I just try to fill myself with what I call like good energy. And I recognize what bad energy is bringing and then stay away from that. And good energy could be just hanging out with my kids. That's the best. Painting, which is a new thing for me. Even like watching The Simpsons, it's comfort. And that kind of brings me happiness, and I try to keep that in my life.
Yeah, finding joy in the small things. Tell us about the hand that's over your shoulder.
Oh, this thing.
This thing.
It was, this bone. So before surgery, we knew they were going to take the entire hand, and I just thought, I want to keep it. That's like immediately what I thought. But my hand was so like necrotic, it was black. The tissue was so, just stuck on the bone. The hardest part was finding someone to help clean it. But we did, and I wanted to kind of represent it in my house somewhere. I haven't really hung it up yet, but I love dried flowers. So all the flowers I got from the hospital, and since then I've tried to incorporate around it.
Fantastic. Thank you for sharing that. You promised to bring that and show me today, so thank you for that. Be sure to ask your questions.
No
Use
problem.
the chat on YouTube or Facebook. You can email the Medical News Network. That information is there on your screen. How are you adapting to life at home? What is life like today since we saw you about a year ago?
Oh my goodness. I was just thinking about when I came in to the studio and I had to wear a wig because I had just no hair. And I was thinking back about that, and I know it's such a small thing for some, but for me that's huge that I was able to grow my hair back. And seeing me in rehab and the strength I've been able to gain is so much better than it was back then. And Bo, oh my gosh, Bo is, you wouldn't know he's a preemie at all with function, intelligence. He's following in his brother's footsteps. But home life has been, it's still crazy, especially since Reed does the dialysis treatments. It takes away him and me. And it just takes away that time I would have with my kids. And so we're not able to, sustain a job because of everything else that's going on. But we keep it pretty scheduled as much as we can. I'm starting to figure out what it looks like for me to cook dinner. What would that be? And actually I was faced with that the other day, unknowingly, Reed all of a sudden got sick, and so I was faced with, having to feed 3 kids dinner. It was scary. I wish I did a little bit better job at it, but we all kind of worked together. Even the baby, I had him help me. He climbed up on my wheelchair and got into the refrigerator to get the strawberries that were in the very back. And so it was kind of a fun night, but I learned a lot. I was very disappointed that I didn't do a better job, but that's just my life. I try something and I usually fail at it, and then I learn more about it, try again, and it gets better and better.
Brie, disappointed I didn't do a better job. Wish I would have done it better. That sounds like me when I parent. Every night, every day. So I think we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I want to take a moment and ask Dr. Klein. I want to talk about our paired kidney exchange program just for a moment. Tell us a little bit about how that works, and are we seeing a lot more instances of that happening?
We do. So we use primarily a program that's called Alliance for Paired Kidney Donation. We've used them as kind of an adjunct for about 3 years now, and that's probably half of our living donors now go into that program as a possibility for how they can find compatible donors. Sometimes we still find people internally that can swap out donors and recipients, but it gives us way more opportunities in a scenario like Brie.
How do you help people get through, Samantha, how do you help people get through the waiting game of waiting on the list or waiting to find that special donor? And what questions do you have from them along the way?
I just try to provide, the education about the program, and we're just always looking at ways to find matches for people internally or with the paired program. Fortunately, not many people wait that long in the paired program. There is a few pairs that have sat in there for some months, but we usually have a pretty high success rate with it happening, within a good amount of time.
Dr. Klein, what would the recovery time look like for Brie at her circumstance?
Well, time will tell. She is very complicated. As I mentioned earlier, she has seen a lot of specialists at the University of Kansas, and so we are coordinating a lot of the care, not just for this upcoming kidney transplant, but for the things that will follow.
And how long will it take for this to happen? What's the timeline look like?
Once the kidney transplant occurs, which will be in the coming months, then generally people recover pretty quickly. The great thing about a living donor is that that kidney will generally work right away. It'll restore kidney function over a couple of days, and then we can focus on other things for the recipient, the optimizing of the kidney transplant medicines, and in Brie's case, I think really focusing on rehab, getting stronger, working on mobility, and the other things that she really has as goals for her quality of life.
All right, I want to get to some questions and lots of comments this morning from our viewers. Question from Angela, is this a direct donation or part of a chain? Samantha?
We did have Brie and someone that was approved who wasn't a match in paired donation. Nothing had, there was a little bit of, stuff that had came up, but nothing concrete. And then actually now we have a direct donation for Brie.
And a perfect match.
Yes.
All right. Jill says, Brie, your story puts life in perspective. What an amazing spirit you have about you. So excited to hear that your road to recovery continues. Alex says, Brie, I'm so happy for you and your family and thankful for your donor. Marcia says, this is the best news. Jeremy says, oh my gosh, Brie, this is great. I was hoping to cry on Friday morning, but now he's just so happy for you. So lots of great positive things coming in this morning. Lots of well wishes. Janine wants to know, will everyone in need of a transplant get a kidney?
Unfortunately, there's a shortage of kidneys and other solid organs across the United States. About 100,000 people at any given time are waiting for transplants on waiting lists.
Tony wants to know if people can ever undergo dialysis and kidneys actually will partially recover.
It can happen. So that would be less common in a scenario like Brie's, but there are times where the kidneys need support for a while and can recover over time.
Dr. Klein, what do you want the big takeaway from this conversation and Brie's story in particular to be?
Probably most important is support and sharing a story that no one knows what you need until you share it. And sign your donor cards, look into living kidney donation if that's something that you're interested in.
Samantha, what is the big takeaway from this story?
Well, for me, I used to work with Brie many years ago, actually here at KU, and we've been Facebook friends, so I've followed her story, over the years, and I'm really excited to be part of the team that gets to help Brie go through this.
All right, Brie. We're just so glad that you got to share this news with us this morning. It took us all by surprise, so thank you for that. What a great way to wrap up our week. What do you want the big takeaway from your story to be?
That it's ongoing. I want to continue to show kind of how I'm going through all of this as a mother, as a wife, as a friend. And that I am, working towards where we have actually started a foundation called Brie's Hope. You can check it out at brieshope.org, and it is to help me spread my story, like let more people know about it and how I've gotten through it, and educate about sepsis, and then along with trying to find families who have gone through and the repercussions of sepsis who don't have that support. We want to help support them.
Well, thank you for turning your story into hope for other people. And we're just glad you're doing well, and we can't wait to see you next.
Same. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you to all of our guests today. Thank you to our viewers for being here with us today. Well, she was diagnosed with lung cancer, but never smoked a day in her life. Coming up Monday on the Morning Medical Update, we look at stage 4 lung cancer and what this patient wants all of us to know. We'll see you then. Have a great weekend.
Subscribe to our Morning Medical Update and Open Mics with Dr. Stites podcasts. Now everywhere podcasts are available.